Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about colon cancer. Colon cancer begins as a polyp, screened and detected before it spreads. This is a very inspirational topic and, interestingly, not inspired by any World Health Day. And it's important we dive into it to find out all about it and why it's so important to do this screening. Good morning, Dr. Adekoya and Ms. Tobiloba. It's a pleasure to have both of you with us here on the program.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Good morning.
Thank you.
So
Morning.
If I can start with you, Dr. Adekoya, can you explain to our listening public what is colon cancer and what does it mean when we say colon cancer starts as a polyp? Catch it before it spreads.
Thank you very much. Colon cancer is a very important disease. It's the third commonest cancer in males, following carcinoma of the stomach and carcinoma of the lungs. And it's also the third commonest in females after carcinoma of the breast and carcinoma of the cervix. Carcinoma of the colon actually starts from a polyp. And these polyps are growths, and there are different types of polyps. We have the sessile polyp, we have the adenomatous polyp, we also have the villous polyps. And the interesting thing about polyps is that most of the polyps eventually lead to carcinoma of the colon. These polyps will eventually transit into carcinoma of the colon over 5 to 10 years period. So when they first occur in the colon, they may be innocuous, but eventually, if it is not detected early and it is not treated, it will eventually progress to a carcinoma. So there is something we call adenoma carcinoma sequence, which takes 5 to 10 years to develop.
Okay, so that is very interesting, because what you're saying is that before the cancer develops, we have 5 to 10 years to pick it up, actually, in the form of a polyp before it actually turns, as it were, turns nasty. So there's a growth and it turns nasty is what I would call it. And we have a chance to pick it up early. Now, let's just talk a bit about, this particular cancer. How common is this cancer? The reason I'm asking this is that when I was young, as a young medical student, it was not a common cancer at all. It's not something that we saw readily in the clinic. And now it seems to be everywhere. So how common is it in Nigeria itself? And why has there been such a huge increase in the incidence of this particular cancer?
Thank you very much. I think one of the reasons why we are beginning to see it now is because of the dietary changes that is happening in our young population. Many of them are taking to westernized diets. In the olden days, people eat bulky diets. They take high fiber diets that is high in vegetables and fibers. And this kind of meal protects against the development of carcinoma of the colon. When you take bulky diets, there is a reduction in transit time. So the time that the feces stays in the colon is reduced. So the chemicals that can cause changes in the colon will have very limited time to have contact with the colon. If you begin to take westernized diets, these are diets that are refined, high refined diets, carbohydrate, high fat content foods. So these foods, they have very low fiber. So it takes longer in the intestine. And once it takes longer, it allows the chemicals that are toxic to the colon to cause those changes in which the polyp can eventually transit into a carcinoma. That is the reason why it is so common these days.
And also the issue of young people getting this cancer. It seems to be happening in younger and younger and younger people. Can you tell us why?
Well, there is a component of carcinoma of the colon that is called the familial cancers. And these are people that have what we call familial adenomatous polyposis. So they have family history of polyps. So if young people have a family history of polyp and it is not detected early, it can eventually progress to carcinoma. There's another one called familial non-familial non-adenomatous polyposis. So these cases, though very few, in less than 5% of the population, but it begins to show up at very early stages. So there is a hereditary component to this carcinoma of the colon, and it is this hereditary component that usually occurs in the very young age group.
Okay, I think that's quite interesting because you see, the parents and the grandparents of these people didn't show it. Would you say some of these familial cases are apparent de novo because it has not necessarily shown in the parents and grandparents?
It may be inherited, and you see, when it is inherited like that, it shows in the early stages. So the parents may not really show the disease because what actually promotes the development of disease, these parents are not taking such diets. So when these children, these young people begin to take the westernized diet, it speeds up the development of the polyp into going into carcinoma.
I see. So what you're saying is that our natural healthy African diet, rich in fiber, rich in vegetables, all those foriro, egusi, afang, Adeleke Adekoya, all over. We are very, very, rich in vegetables, rich in, high fiber diets.
They are actually they are very, very good, and they are protective.
So they are protecting, they're the what has been protecting us all this time. But now that we're eating the wrong kinds of foods, it's going, going astray. So now that we know, obviously it's difficult to change from the Western diet because we've all been very westernized, but we're going to try. But what other ways can we prevent ourselves from getting colon cancer?
One of the best ways of preventing is to begin to have lifestyle modifications. The diet is very important. People who smoke, they should stop smoking. People who have sedentary lifestyle, they should try and exercise more. And then if you have a familial tendency, you have familial adenomatous polyposis, you go for screening so that the polyps can be detected very early. Because if the polyp is detected very early, it can actually be treated. It can actually be cured by the treatment that is given in the very early stages.
Now, what about the issue of screening? Because that's the second half of the discussion, which says cancer starts as a polyp and then screen before it spreads. How do we screen effectively for colon cancer to prevent its spread?
Thank you very much. Screening of colon cancer starts with tests that can be done in the office. And this test is called the FIT test, fecal immunoglobulin test. What you do in fecal immunoglobulin test is that you take a sample of the feces of the pool and you send it to the pathologists. So the pathologists will analyze the feces, and if they see any traces of blood cells, that is a red flag. So once that is seen, the result will be communicated to you, and then you will now go to the next level of the screening, which is called colonoscopy. That is, colonoscopy is when you have direct visualization of the lumen of the colon to see if there are polyps there that is causing the blood entering into the feces.
Okay, and when should this colonoscopy be done? How often?
Colonoscopy should be done if the fecal immunoglobulin test is positive. If it is positive, you do colonoscopy. However, for people who have familial history, a first-degree relative who has had colon cancer or has been treated, then it should be done frequently, at least once in 2 years. If, however, you don't have any relative who does not have colon cancer, and then you have done fecal or cord blood tests and it is negative, you start doing it after you have passed the age of 50. You do colonoscopy every 2 to 5 years.
So what we're doing is we're recommending the test, the FIC, the
FIT test, fecal immunoglobulin test.
So that test, from what age should we be doing that one? Because that is not an invasive test. That's a simple
It is
test.
not. It's not an invasive test.
How often and when should we start taking?
You do it once in a year screening after the age of 40. Okay. But then, if you have any symptom, like,
and what are the symptoms that people should be looking out for?
Number one is when you see blood in your feces. One must not dismiss it with the wave of the hand. Blood in the feces is a red flag for colon cancer. You see, our people, when they see blood in the feces, they usually attribute it to hemorrhoids. They attribute it to fistula in ano, all those things. But the most important thing is to make sure you screen that this is not due to carcinoma of the colon, because that is the most sinister, is the Frankenstein in the house. Once there is blood in the feces, you must make sure you rule out carcinoma of the colon.
Okay. Well, I think that is so important. And I'm so happy we have a survivor here with us in the house who we'll be talking to after the break. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tobiloba. It's really a pleasure to have you on the program. And we are indeed honored to have you come to share your experience with us. Can you tell us how it was you detected that you had colon cancer, how it happened, and what you did about it?
All right. This is going to take long, but I'm going to cut it. Right. So in the year 2021, I started seeing some symptoms like recurrent malaria and typhoid, diarrhea, blood in my stool. It graduated to seeing blood and muco mixed with my stool. Tiredness, weakness, loss of appetite, and so on. Right. So we were told to go to UCH, University College Hospital, Ibadan here, to just go and know what's going on. So when I got there, I was asked to do a colonoscopy test. Right. The idea of the colonoscopy test is to know what is disrupting my stomach, because I was also having stomach upsets, like frequent stomach upsets. At times I would feel so bloated. So I was asked to go for a colonoscopy test. When I went for the colonoscopy test, when they were going through my rectum, they discovered that there was a mass in my rectum area. So they took out the mass, like they took a pinch of the mass with the colonoscopy machine. They took out as a result of the biopsy came out that it was tubular anemia, something I can't remember. But then at that time I was already on the ward because I could not walk, I could not pass out feces, not eat. So I got admitted on the ward, was two at UCH. Then I was already assigned to some doctors. Some doctors already assigned to me because they told me that whatever the case may be, I would still do surgery because they said they made a mass there. So I would still do surgery. So I was already came, the cause like that of the mass, the results of colorectal cancer, signet ring, adenocarcinoma. Yeah, right. So that was a very I don't even know how to. I could not.
Devastating news.
Yes, devastating news. I could not wrap my heads around the fact that I have cancer. Like, what was that? Like, the only time I hear about cancer is on the TV. Like, whenever I'm watching American movies, I've never seen a black. I've never seen it on the news that a black person has cancer and all of that. So it was, and I feel like cancer is a sickness for the rich. Let me put it that way. Cancer is a sickness for the weak. So it was so lot to take in, hearing that I I had a stage 3 colorectal cancer, not even stage 1, not even stage 2, right? So we cried, everybody was down, everybody was crying. Like that time, it was tears, tears upon tears in my family, right? So as a strong family that I have, with someone courage, and I'm like, okay, we need to know the way forward. Right? There was no money, right? But so we went to the hospital. They said, so my doctor said that the easiest way to cure cancer is by doing surgery, like the fastest way, by going to the theater, taking it out, and then do the next thing. So they booked me for surgery. Then they were like, okay, we should look for 800,000 that will cover the surgery and everything. The amount of hearing 800,000 said it was a lot because where are we going to say 800,000? Well, we sorted for the money, went back and forth. So, right, the day of the surgery came. I was booked for surgery March, that same March. I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer March 2022. The day of the surgery came. I did the surgery, and after the surgery, my doctors came to meet me on the ward. They were like the second day, I was still in recovery. They're like, oh, we're so sorry. When we got there, when we opened it up, we met a frozen pelvis, meaning that the tumor is so big that it has attached itself to various organs at your rectum area, like my pelvis, my bladder, and my uterus. To be life-threatening to penetrate, meaning it to be life-threatening to take out the tumor. So they brought out what we call a colostomy. And a colostomy is the removal of one small intestine attached to the left side of the stomach to divert feces. Because remember, I said I had a colorectal cancer. That's the cancer of the anus. It would be so difficult for me to pass out stool. So they brought out the colostomy to divert my feces. And they said, doing this, I would start my chemotherapy and radiotherapy. They said the aim of chemo and radio is to shrink the tumor. When it has shrunk it to a particular amount, then they will go back in and take out the remainings.
Yeah.
That was the idea. So I started my chemotherapy journey April 2022. I started with 6 courses. A course, I do take a course this week and then 2 weeks intervals. After taking a course this week, next 2 weeks take another course like that for 6 courses, right? So after the 6th course, I went for an MRI test. When the MRI test results came out, it was said that the tumor did not shrink, neither did it reduce. It did not reduce in size at all. It was the way the doctors met it. After taking 6 courses of chemotherapy, and trust me, chemotherapy is not a treatment.
It's not easy, I understand. So what did you do next? We haven't got that. We have to, unfortunately, as much as we want to go into the details of what happened, time is short. So what happened next?
Yeah, so after the 6th course, the MRI results came out that it didn't shrink. I went for another 6 courses. It was the same thing. After doing another MRI, making 12 courses of chemotherapy. So my doctor was like, we would change from the first line to another line of chemotherapy. And the second line of chemotherapy, I had that one 6 times again, making 18 courses of chemotherapy that I had. When I did another MRI test, the results came out that it was still the same thing, that the tumor didn't shrink at all. Then
So what worked? Because you are still standing here. So something worked. What worked?
Yeah. Right. So after that, I did radiotherapy along the line. I had 9 courses of radiations. Right. So when I did another MRI test, it was still the same thing. It was still the same thing. The tumor did not shrink. At this time, I was already devastated. The only difference was that I was alive and all, but the tumor was still there. So my doctors were like, they will go for another look, that they should go for another look just to open me up and see if there is any changes, if they can take out the tumor. I was booked for another surgery February 2, 2024. And the type of surgery I did is called APR, abdominal perineal resection. Right. So the day of the surgery came, they did the surgery. They said when they got there, they could take out the tumor. Remember I said it was a frozen pelvis, but this time it wasn't frozen anymore. They could take it out, but it was
so something had worked in all the treatments.
In all the treatments, something had worked, but it did not really work effectively like they thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
They hoped it would, right? So
but
they
at
took
least
it
there
out.
was an improvement, so they could do something.
Yes, they could do something. When they got in, they took out
Fantastic.
they took out the tumor, but they told me I will be left with a permanent colostomy because the tumor was so big that it has affected my rectum. So they had to take out the tumor alongside my rectum.
And are you
And
now with the colonoscopy? Sorry,
the
the
colos
colostomy?
yeah, I am with the colostomy.
Okay. But you have
Yes.
no tumor now and you are well.
No, no tumor, and I'm
By
well.
God's grace. So how is it now moving on with life? And I want to thank God that this has happened. And I want to thank God because, as I said, you are looking so beautiful, so beautiful here today. How is it living with life with a colostomy?
Right. Okay. The first time they told me about this colostomy. Oh, da da da. You'll be living with the colostomy. You'll be putting from the left side of your stomach into a sack. It was a lot to take in. Like, I'm in my 20s. How can I wrap my head around the fact that I'll be pulling from my stomach? That was a lot to handle. So after that, I summoned courage. I summoned courage because okay, this thing they told me to be permanent. It's not temporal.
Yeah.
So living with this for the rest of my life. So I need to make it my friend. Like I need to embrace it. Right.
Yeah.
So I just summoned courage. I was like, okay, you know what? This thing actually saved my life. If there is nothing like a colostomy, I don't think I'll be alive. So I just moved past it that right, this thing is not the end of the world. I can live my life, I can do all I want to, and with the help of a good bag, because we have some bags in Nigeria that will even make you be depressed, fall into depression. But the type of bags that I use, they are not from Nigeria. I have like good people that send bags to me from diaspora. So ever since then, I've been okay. It's not really a big deal living with the colostomy.
Well, I thank God for your life. I thank God for everything that you've said so far. And I also
Yeah.
thank God for your positive attitude to life because you are here, you are living. And no matter what, there are people who are reaching out and helping you. Have you formed any foundations or anything like that?
No foundations for now, but I use my social media platforms to create and raise awareness about colorectal cancer and colostomy. And since then, it has been, I feel so good doing it, and a lot of people have reached out to me that I have a colostomy and I can't come out to talk about it. Your videos really inspired me and all. So I love what I do.
Thank you. And thank you for being inspirational. And
Yeah.
we don't actually have much time, but I
Yeah.
think it was so important that we listened to you and heard your story. So, Dr. Adekoya, um, you've heard her inspirational story. Do you have any last words for our listeners before we go?
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank God for the life of our sister there, that at least she got the correct treatment. My last word is that when you have anybody who has bleeding from the anus, blood in the anus or mucus, it may
Mhm.
be cancer lurking somewhere, and you need to have proper investigation. You go for fecal occult blood test, fecal immunoglobulin test, and then you do a colonoscopy. If the tumor is detected early, you can have surgery and then you'll be fine. There are different options of treatment. You have surgery, you have chemotherapy, you have radiotherapy, and then you have immunotherapy. All these treatments can be combined together. So the outcome of colorectal cancer is always fitter if it is detected early and proper treatment is given.
Yes, and I would also like to just add for people who think that they should not look at their poo, they say, why will I look there? Why will I look at that place and shun it? Please take the time. You need to know all parts of your body. What comes out of your body is important as well. So it's important that people check what's the urine like, what's the stool like. Know your body. So if there's something that is going wrong, you can pick it up early and seek effective care. So thank you so much, Dr. Adekoya, for that information. Thank you so much, Ms. Tobiloba, for your inspirational being. Thank you
Yeah.
for being here.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for new video updates.